Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Yeah, hey, Asia, this is Leslie.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm okay. I'm fighting a bug, but it worked out so cool because then I was like at my computer doing stuff, and then I was like, oh, see us live. Let me go check this out. So,
Okay, all right.
um,
Awesome.
so I mean, I guess I do have some like kind of I don't want to say some, but I could say like a basic question. So I'm a mental projector with no inner authority. And that's really what I've been enjoying about your videos, and the work I've done with you so far has been on human design. And I am so fascinated, and I just can't stop watching videos. um, and trying to study, and like that beautiful sister was talking about with astrology. It's just like human design. It's just so much. It just goes so intense. The channels and the this and the that and the gates and the but one of the basic things that I'm learning is like you got to treat it like an experiment, right? And
Yeah.
I'm just not really clear on the experimentation. Like, do I need to find out what other people are and then see if they're willing to experiment with me so then I can see where I'm being lit up in my body? Does that make sense, my question? I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Wow. Yeah, that's a really good question. Unfortunately, I've learned that you can't know who everyone is, and there seem to be more people who are not interested in this than there are those that are. So it's what I've learned is that this is all about self-discovery, and your body does have the intelligence to know what people are for it and what people are not for it. And when it comes to you, especially being a mental projector, it can be difficult, like initiating things. And, we already know that you're designed to be recognized and then invited into a situation. So I definitely see a lot of resistance and rejection if you were to try to gather, people's information and ask them, hey, like, can I see your human design? So with the experiment, it's more about yourself. It's more about experimenting with your own design. And I've noticed that the more that I do it, the more alignment I have with other people. And the people who are not in alignment with me, they seem to, things just kind of disconnect between us. And that's not easy for everyone. So, that's something that you definitely would want to be realistic and honest about within yourself, so that when you do experiment with your design and, being patient and allowing people to recognize you and invite you, then from there, it's almost like you do have the upper hand once you get that recognition and invite. And filling out, whatever the connection is between you and the other person, that opens the door for you to set those boundaries, because that's, extremely important for everyone, but definitely for you, having all of those open centers. So setting those boundaries, once somebody acknowledges you, you already know that once a person recognizes you and invites you, they want something from you. And if they're wanting a certain level of energy that you're not designed with, you want to be prepared to set those boundaries. And in setting those boundaries, you can let a person know, hey, I'm trying to be a better version of myself. I'm trying to have better relationships. And in saying things like that, I feel that people who are aligned with that will respect that. And if you choose to use the tool of human design, then in you setting those boundaries and letting people know, hey, it's very important that I see how I can be of service to you. I see how I can be a good projector in your life and manage, guide, and direct you in the proper way. So, you know, since you have invited me, do you mind if, you know, I see how our human design partnership is, so that, you know, I can do a better assessment in how I'm going to be able to assist you and engage with you. And then also that person will learn what your needs are and the areas in which they should not expect you to do certain things. Because, of course, you being a natural shapeshifter, people are going to project on you. They're going to look at you and think that you are something that you're not. So I feel that that's important, you know, when it comes to that that experimentation. Just first and foremost, experimenting with yourself and allowing yourself to wait for that invite and that recognition, and then from there, you know, kind of taking the lead and setting those boundaries early on.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that that made sense.
Yeah, it did. It definitely gave me some things to like meditate upon, you know? So thank you.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're recording and this is, you know, for further, you know, information you're going to post on YouTube, I mean, I do have some other kind of general questions that don't necessarily have to be so focused upon my type, but I think might be helpful for all types if you're down.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm open to, you know, to whatever people, so it's fine.
Okay. So, because one of the things about, you know, like what you were saying, and I was thinking about it when I was thinking about the 4 different aura types, that really everybody is kind of like responding or waiting to be invited, you know, generators, projectors, and reflectors. And the manifestors are really the only ones who are, you know, in true authority to initiate. So we're all kind of like hanging out, waiting, right?
Right.
Which, yay, like we all know how much we love patience. But like, so I'm confused on the part where it's like, okay, I was watching a video and it was like, if we got out of our heads, out of trying to get something from the other person, if we felt it with our bodies, then we would naturally be more into our aura type. But like when you're like, if someone's, well, I guess this is talking about the projector type, but you know, like if someone invites me, then I have to know that they're recognizing me, but it's because they want something from me. So can you recognize that you're being wanted for something from a feeling base without getting too mental? Like even a generator, like, so if a manifestor says something and then a generator is like going to respond, that seemed like a very fine line between thinking about the response and just feeling the response and being the response. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I feel like I got confused a little bit. Can you ask the question a different way? I know you said it the right way, but can you just ask it a different way?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll try. So I guess I'm curious about the part of how do we feel and get out of our heads? Like if this is our natural, if this is the way that these specific aura types actually operate, and it would behoove us to feel into that rather than thinking it, how do you not think it? Like by me knowing that like they want something from me, that just seems to kind of go against the feeling nature. Like I already, you know, quote unquote, know that I'm wanted for something. So I'm going to want to figure out what that is rather than just feel that way. Or is that just programming?
Because you know what's interesting is that like I totally understand your question from you being a mental projector. And for me, it's like, okay, my my crown and ajna is like completely open. So, oh man, this is good, but it's like I'm trying to like pull it all together. Because it's so, we're so extremely different. Like for me, it's like, okay, I'll start with this. In any interaction between two people, there is like the body is looking for something. It may not necessarily be like the person is mentally saying or mentally aware that they want something from the other person. But if you find yourself drawn to another individual and your body is like moving you towards that, then your body is wanting something, whether it's for 5 minutes or whether it's for 20 years. And what I've noticed with me is that when my body moves into something, yeah, my mind is definitely like thinking about a whole bunch of extra stuff outside of what the body is just simply doing in that interaction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, oh, okay. So we're gonna have to like come back into the room in like 10 minutes because it's gonna like shut off, and then all we got to do is like click back in. But yeah. So it's like for you, you know, if I knew what it was like to not have that inner authority, I feel like I could answer the question better. But it's, you know, I actually like, I want to learn from you and the reflectors what it's like to not have that inner authority so that I can have like a better understanding. Because I can just feel that it's a different feeling to be pulled, but not have like something that's giving you like a direct indication that this situation is for you or is not for you. So for the mental projector, you are designed to make those decisions based on that mental, you know, that mental information that you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so different. Like it's so different from the way that I have to or the way that I'm designed to move about.
Right. Now, do you think that mental projectors, like I know you mentioned before, are kind of similar to or resemble reflectors to a degree? So do you think the key there, like the reflectors, is to operate with the moon cycles or the astrological cycles?
Yeah, the reflectors, I've met a few reflectors and they really do have that direct connection with the moon cycle. So even though they may not have that inner authority that allows them to make a decision right away, they will make a decision eventually based on the 28-day moon cycle. Whereas the mental projectors, you all, it doesn't mean that you all can't get some type of clarity in, you know, based on a moon cycle or multiple moon cycles, but that's not going to guarantee anything for you. So it's still, you know, the whole speaking out loud to different people that you trust with whatever decision you're trying to make, but making sure that you don't allow those individuals to sway the decision that seems to be like the majority when it comes to you speaking something over and over again to different people. Because like if you're saying, hey, you know, like I'm trying to figure this out, and you speak that out loud to 3 or 4 different people, whatever you're saying the most, as you listen to yourself speak it out loud, that is your truth. So it's just a matter of like recognizing that through speaking multiple times and not letting another person pull you out of whatever that majority is. Does that seem to be something that is a difficulty on your end?
Well, it's so funny because it's like, I don't know if it's one of those like, once you know things, it's like, or once you see things, you kind of can't go back to black and white. But now it's like I'm seeing things and I don't quite know how to respond any longer. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like everything's all new. And I mean, that whole being quiet and being patient. And there's sometimes I can't help it. Like, I get excited and I can't help but start talking. But then I saw those videos too, and it was like, that is the projectors' dis-ease, all projectors. Like, stop talking so much. Like, stop like giving your story to everybody. And I was like, oh my God, I do that. Like, because I think it's so, my insights are so, genius. And so now I just find myself in this push and pull with myself where I like jump in and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna da-da-da. And I'm like, oh God, I'm not supposed to like share anything. Delete comments. And then I can see it now. Like, I don't get the recognition. So I do get frustrated. And I'm like, oh, that's because I wasn't invited. So then it's like, I stop. And I have a few trusted people, but it's like, I'm still not necessarily quote unquote invited. And so I guess that experiment is then to see like, well, on what levels am I being invited and I know none of this is going to be figured out in 3 weeks, but bless my heart, I'm trying. So it seems difficult in that regard, just trying to identify what's an invitation or when to just sit there and be quiet. Like, that's kind of annoying for me.
Yeah, especially when you're out there in the world with other people. It's very difficult to not be like taken over and hijacked by the people that have those other areas that you don't have.
Yeah.
And another thing, I don't know if you came across this information, but generators have the ability to get to like jump into their design and start seeing results like within a matter of like a couple of weeks. And projectors, I've heard it can take you all like 6 months to actually get into the flow of your design. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Now that you have some good foundational information, be patient with yourself as much as you can. It's not easy. This definitely is not an easy journey of self empowerment and self discovery, but time, as long as you keep waking up, time is going to move you more and more into alignment based on the awareness that you have about yourself. So, you're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to find yourself doing the things that are the not self aspects of you, but it doesn't matter because it's a part of working your way into the direction that is correct for you. And it's not going to just like turn around overnight. So, if you, what I've learned is that once you become aware of the not self aspects and then you continue to do them, eventually there's a different level of exhaustion that comes over you. And it gets to the point to where, because of your awareness, you can no longer continue to move in that direction of the not self, because and you're like watching yourself do it over and over again, to where your body eventually says, I no longer can continue to do this. And you'll just notice like extreme shifts that come, at different points on your timeline. So, I can only speak from, the outside, because I'm not a projector. I don't know what it's like to not have that inner authority. So I can only go off of, the other projectors that I've communicated with, what I've seen, and just having an outside experience with projectors and, you know, the information. Now it says that we have less than a minute. So if you want to just go ahead and I'm gonna hang this up and then come right back in, and you can come back in and respond to what I've shared, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so I'm just gonna end this and then we're gonna start a new one, okay?
Thanks a lot.
All right, I'll see you in a second.
Goodbye. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good and clear. Okay. All right, we're good to go. So yeah, I know I said a lot in that response. So yeah, you can just let me know what you think about that.
Do you remember any of what you just said? Because I did get distracted. I was like, oh, it's on YouTube. Oh, let me do this. And like, I just started playing around. But I know it was important. I just, and I'm sick, so I just forgot. Oh, but okay, actually, that just triggered me. Because I was thinking, I feel like that's what I'm experiencing right now with even getting sick. Like, I just got back from a trip in New York with family, and I was experiencing a lot. Plus, I was really like hyper aware of the aura types, and I was trying to feel. I was gonna say be cognizant, but I was trying to be cognizant of my feelings, and it was really like I was with my sisters, and I was aware of like how many urges I might have had to jump in and speak, you know, for my sister or speak for my family and give them my perspective on things when I could see things, right? But I was like, oh, that doesn't feel good. So step back. Let's not jump in. And then it did not feel good to just sit there and just to observe and wait to be recognized. And then of course, none of them recognized me. And that did not feel good. And I feel like this cold is actually a manifestation of that. I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah. So I do feel like when you're like, you'll begin to notice when you're not in the flow, and your body will literally like, yo, this isn't working no more, you know? So
absolutely. That's a great point, because I was thinking the same thing when you said that you were with family. You know, it's interesting with you being a heretic. Due to the nature of your particular profile, you all don't have strong connections with family members, because your reputation is usually very low with family members. You have the most impact and influence on people who don't know you. So this is like just a never ending story when I talk to heretics, but your family members will look to you last for anything, for any type of advice, for any type of direction, for anything. They'll look for you for savior purposes, like, you know, maybe like money or things that deal with, I need you to do this, you know, for the family right now. But when it comes to the actual respect that the heretic, you know, is designed to have for the purpose of being able to universalize information, the family members are the last place that you're going to get that from, because they have known you for too long. So there's no reputation there with them. So that's the main reason that whether you're a projector, a manifester, a generator, it doesn't matter. If you're a heretic, your family members are not going to see you the way somebody that you meet for the first time will see you. So you'll notice that when people connect with you, like for the first time, and it's almost like they light up, because it's like you are a brand new version of Jesus for them. But the longer you stay connected to them, the more you create a bond with them, your reputation lessens with them. So with family members, it's almost like you, in order for your reputation to rise back up, you have to spend as much time away from them as possible. And that's the key to being a heretic. Wherever you want your reputation to grow, you have to be disconnected from the person, people, or situation for as long as you can. Because when you're missing and when you're not around, that's when people start to seek you out. But when you're always available, which is what happens with family, you're always there, they don't see you anymore, because they've more than likely burned you at the stake. You know, like the longer you're around people, the closer you are to getting burned at the stake by them. So, and just like envisioning what you just said about, like, you know, you were sitting there and everybody was basically talking and it was like you were invisible. That's literally like how they view you, because they know you. Like, they've seen you for too long because you're a part of the family. So in a situation where you would walk into a room full of strangers, you would probably be like the number one speaker in that room because your reputation would be very high in that particular setting. So I definitely feel that situation did manifest the, you know, whatever sickness you're dealing with right now, because you weren't able to operate according to who you are. So yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Well, isn't that one of those things, like, you know, like you get your car fixed, right? Like, and then they're like, oh, something's wrong with, you know, this gauge or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll get that fixed. And then all this other stuff starts to go wrong with your car. Because I'm like, now, had I not been aware and been working, you know, and trying to like feel into it, have I not been experimenting, right? Maybe that wouldn't have happened, right? Or like, would that have happened? I just wouldn't have been able to identify, oh, I'm not being recognized, so that's why I'm feeling bitter. It might have just been like, I'd be bummed because I'm like, why do I feel bad? Do you know what I'm trying to ask? Like, is it more like, now that I'm aware of this information, now it's like I'm gonna see it all over the place? Or
yes, that's a huge thing with becoming aware of your human design. Like, once you start to understand certain aspects, not only do you start having a lot of memories triggered, but as you move forward, you see it everywhere. Like, you see your human design playing out everywhere. And it gets kind of creepy sometimes, because it shows up in like the most random, weirdest places. Almost like, you know, you really start to see how much of a matrix this reality is, you know. So it's like, and you seeing it more and more and more, to me, everyone's different, but to me, it does actually help you to be more in acceptance of the program itself and start working with the program, as opposed to trying to fight it, because that's essentially what we all are dealing with when we come into human design. Like, we realize we've been trying to fight everything that is a part of this blueprint and this layout. So once you recognize, you know what, it's no escaping the blueprint, and you start to see it everywhere, that's when you say, you know what, I have to embrace this thing and work with it to get the best out of my human design. So that's one of the reasons it continues to show up in your life. Like, you just see it everywhere. Like, you'll even notice, like, in conversations, people will say words that are like human design type words. And you'll think to yourself, like, you know, I've never heard this person say this word before, or, you know, I didn't. It's just like when you know, when you get a car and all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere. It's the same thing with human design. Like you'll start just seeing it everywhere and hearing it coming out of, you know, like all types of conversations. You could be like walking down the street and pass somebody talking on the phone and hear them say the word heretic, or hear them say projector, or, you know, something crazy like that. And that's how you know, like, oh yeah, you definitely like tuned in to the reality.
Okay, neato. So I guess that's just all part of the experimentation, though, and really just being aware of how you get lit up, or how you begin to flow with the design, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say my family, they don't know me that well. In fact, my uncle was like, he's like looking at me all weird across the table, and then he's like, I never know how to take you. I don't know if you're serious or if you're sincere. And I'm like, I'm pretty transparent. Like, you can tell when I'm like being sarcastic or something. And then I felt kind of hurt that he wouldn't think that I was being sincere when I was. So I think like I was more bitter. I'm like, how would you guys not recognize me for how I was? Is that
it's
part of the hereticism? Heresy? It's heresy. No.
It's that projection field, because it's like with the heretic, it's like people don't know what they're looking at. They don't know what they're hearing when you all speak, because, you know, in just having that shape-shifting gift as a part of your design, it's like for you, you're just being you. You're just being what you're designed with. But for the person observing you or engaging with you, it's like, I don't know what is going on with her. I don't know what she, you know, if she's this or if she's that. And that's because a lot of times, you know, you all aren't necessarily aware that you can go from this to that in engaging with different individuals. You're because it's so natural for you. But for the person on the outside, they can see like, wow, she just went from this person to that person. And it's like she's two or more different people. So that definitely can, you know, throw a lot of people off, because they really don't know how to take you. But it's just you being you.
Trippy bag.
Is that like, go ahead.
I'm listening.
Yeah, no, I'm like, that's a trippy bag, dude. Like 3 weeks in. I guess I would, so you brought up something when you were saying like that I'm a heretic. Like, what would you say is the most important aspect to really begin understanding, like, human design? Because I know you can get into the circuit systems and, you know, there's so many other things. And I'm like, okay, dude, maybe I just need to, like, just focus on the aura types for, like, a couple of months. Or do you think you should just, like, go in, start just studying it all, piecing it all together?
I mean, I feel that it's all about knowing how to make the right decisions for yourself, because once you tune into that, then you'll be moved to go deeper if you choose to. If that's what resonates with you, if that's what's correct for you, then you'll be moved naturally into going deeper into whether it's human design, whether it's, you know, some type of religion that you're studying, you know, a relationship, you know, whatever it is that you can be involved with in this human life. When you're making decisions properly for yourself, then you'll just move naturally into the things that are correct for you. So I always connect with people from a place of, I want to make sure they have the most important information, because it's no guarantee that I will ever talk to them again. It's no guarantee that they will go further than whatever information they're getting from me. So let me make sure that I give them the information that they can literally use for the rest of their lives and see results as they continue to apply that information. So it's all about getting in tune and in alignment with the most important part of this human experience, which is your body. You know, it's nothing that you can do here without the body. So it's about recognizing that and understanding how it works based on the blueprint that's laid out for you. And, you know, it doesn't take much for a person to see that whatever their blueprint is, it's the truth of everything that they've experienced. Anything that's happened to them, they can find it. You know, they can see, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. You know, it's right there in your face. So it's like, okay, clearly this is what it is, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change into anything different from this. So how do I maximize? How do I get the best out of this particular layout that I have? And from there, everything else falls into place. So yeah, like, you know, it's a lot of things that I still want to learn about human design, but, you know, I'm at a place to where it's like, I could be okay if I didn't learn anything more than what I have, because what I've learned so far is enough for me to continue to become a better version of myself, and also be able to teach many other people beyond, you know, myself. So I don't know if that made sense, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it did. And I mean, honestly, like, working with you and like understanding this love for human design has been like so crazy powerful already. And, you know, it all comes back to patience, which I'm clearly not. So I want to know it yesterday. But it's all about knowing yourself, you know, so I dig that. I can appreciate that. Well, I mean, this is kind of another general question that I hope is helpful for everybody. The difference between the design print and the personality print, does one take more precedence than the other, or do they work? How do they work together?
When it comes to the personality side, that's the side that we're aware of. So everything that's Black within the blueprint, those are the aspects of us that we are conscious of. And I feel like that makes it the easier personality for us to deal with. But it's the design side, which is the body's personality. That's the tricky one, because most people, once they learn about their design personality or their body's personality, it's very uncomfortable, because first of all, it's unconscious. It's the unconscious aspect of them, and they wouldn't identify themselves as those characteristics of the body's personality. So when they hear it, it's kind of cringy, because it's like, dang, you know, like, I don't like how that sounds, but my whole life has played out those exact characteristics. So first you have to get to that place of accepting the fact that your body has a completely different personality from your mind. And then once you accept that, then it's easier to say, okay, I'm going to allow the body to live its life. I'm going to allow the body to move according to what is correct for it. And from there, what I've noticed is that the mind is always going to try to be in control, but the mind starts to recognize that it's not in control once you let your body do what it's designed to do, and you stop forcing it to do things against what it's indicating. Hey, I don't want to do this. Hey, I don't want to go there. Ooh, I want to go here. When your mind, you know, your mind is usually like trying to do the opposite of what the body does. But you'll notice that there's an alignment that starts to take place once you give the body, you know, its right to make decisions and to move the way that it wants to move.
journey of like learning about, you know, the blueprint, like, and you're looking at like the gates, right? Like you should be paying more attention to your design gate.
No, I wouldn't say that you should pay attention more to anything over the other, because then that like subconsciously like kind of disconnects you from the whole, because you know you want to be familiar with the whole aspect of your design. So if you're saying, well, you know, let me focus more on these things than these other things, then you know you're going to start putting emphasis on certain aspects of your design and underestimating other aspects of your design, which I definitely wouldn't recommend, because it's about integrating all of the different aspects that make you a unique individual. But becoming familiar with the aspects that are the unconscious aspects are definitely helpful, but just not to the point to where you make them put them on like the top of the hierarchy, you know, like don't break yourself down into a hierarchy of, you know, what's better, what's worse, you know, things like that.
I see. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I don't know, like, you know, how your day has been today, but I definitely don't want you to feel like exhausted from, you know, being a little sick and then like, you know, doing a whole bunch of engaging with the manifesting generator. Because, you know, I'll keep going, but I definitely don't want you to feel like, you know, too stressed out by that. So, yeah.
Can I ask you one quick question though? I don't know if it's a quick question, but what is the difference between a generator and a manifesting generator?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Generators do not have a motor that connects directly to the throat. A manifesting generator has either the sacral, the root center, the heart center, or the solar plexus, which those are the four motors. One of those centers are directly connected to the throat. And of course, they have to have the sacral center defined. So the box has to be red in the middle, and one of those motors have to have a channel or multiple channels that connect a motor to the throat.
Okay.
So manifesting generators essentially are manifestors who can't initiate because we have the sacral defined, which stops us from just being able to like push through and initiate. We still have to respond as manifestors. So it's kind of tricky.
That's gotta be frustrating for you guys too.
Yeah, it's a lot of difficulties that come with that. I've gotten to a place where I feel very comfortable now with like waiting and being patient, but my whole life just was always like operating manifestor style, and it was terrible. It was so much resistance, so much rejection. It was just not productive. So I've learned a lot of lessons through trial and error with that.
Wow. That's cool. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I couldn't really find that anywhere, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem. But yeah, Leslie, I definitely thank you for your input and for your questions and for the dialogue.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been such a wild journey, and I look forward to everyone else's questions too. It was such a blessing and a gift to catch this, so thank you for offering it.